Islam, the voice of the prophet. If you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine movement. Then you will have power to redeem your race because you'll know who you are and who your forefathers were. Because where there's unity, there is strength. Together we stand and divided we fall. Come, good people, because the Prophet Noble Drew Ali sent to redeem this nation from mental slavery, which you now have, need each and every one of you who think that your conditions can be better. This is a field open to strong men and women to uplift the nation and take your place in the affairs of men. If the European and other nations are helping him, why not you? It is your problem. The Negro problem is being solved only as it can, and that is through the Moorish National Divine Movement. If you have a nation, you must have a free national name in order to be recognized by this nation as an American citizen. This is what was meant when it was said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you." At this time, I'd like to recite the Moorish American prayer, the source from which we draw our strength. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. First off, I'd like to rise, walking in Jerusalem, just like John, giving praise to Allah, the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible, the one who stretches forth the heaven with his hands, who have described with his fingers the courses of the stars, who set it bounds to the ocean that it cannot pass, and said to the stormy winds, be still. I'd like to give on to the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star, talking about none other than our holy and illustrious prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I'd like to give on to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days and time, because it was he who reached down into the watery grave of Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and the beast, and set you and me back upright on our feet again. I'd like to give on to the forerunner to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Moses Garvey. I'd like to give on to Marcus Moses Garvey because this brother already had a nationality. That what made him the forerunner. Because a Negro, colored, or black couldn't be the forerunner. He had to be somebody that's conscious of their mission to the sons of men. So we like to again give honor to Marcus Garvey, who was the forerunner to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Last but not least, I'd like to give honor to Effort, because so many of us don't even try. At this time, I'd like to read from the Moorish Holy Quran, the book of the seven seals, the numbers able to open, and read from its sacred pages the messages of purity and love. And I'll read chapter 45, and I'll read verse 1 and 2, and they are read on this wise. The fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nations of North America need to learn to love instead of hate, and to know of their higher self and lower self. This is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for the teaching and instructing all Moorish Americans, etc. The key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations, the Moorish, who were the ancient Moabites and the founders of the holy city of Mecca. Praise Allah and honor to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I have a good subject matter today, and we're going to do another show after this, and we have a Moorish American Muslim here in Portland, Oregon, that's running for the position of mayor. So we'll be interviewing him, and we want you to tune in, because it's rare that you find a conscious man. Now, you find a Negro, colored, and black might run for something, but a conscious man? Because if you remember, when we went into Spain, we was Moors. Truth don't change, because man today is what his forefathers were yesterday. And there's no one who is able to change man from the decent nature of his mother and father unless his power extend beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. Now, let me get into my subject matters. The first thing I want to talk about, we always hear people talking about the Last Supper. We always hear one talking about the Last Supper, and Jesus was at the Last Supper with his disciples. And we always want to know, when Jesus was at his Last Supper with his disciples, what did he feed them? And the key was, he fed them food for thought, because the work and the lessons that he taught wasn't physical. They were spiritual. So Jesus taught us from that perspective. And I'm going to continue with that because I want to go to chapter 5 now. And chapter 5 in the Moorish Holy Quran, it talks about the tools of the workshop of the mind, where things are made of thought and where we build up character. So let me go to chapter 5. Let me go to chapter 5 because this is something that the prophet gave us, and it was important that he did. And I'm going to read from a few of these tools that was used in the workshop of the mind. They say these tools remind me of the ones that we handle in the workshop of the mind, where things are made of thought and where we build up character. So now we're looking at the tools of the workshop of the mind. But I got a phone call today, and I want to talk about these tools of the workshop of the mind for a little while, because the prophet gave it to us. He gave us instructions to study. So now we have tools of the workshop of the mind, where things are made of thought and you build up character. But now we got all these tools. We got the compass, we got the plane, we got the saw, we got the axe. We have all these different tools. So you know, it looked kind of strange that I got all these tools in my hand and I don't know which one to use. We have all these tools. We have the hammer, the axe, the saw, the chair, but we don't know which one to use. Sometimes we're supposed to be using the hammer and we're using the plane. Sometimes we should be using the plane and we're using the chisel or the, yeah. So we have to use the proper tool at the proper time. So we want to look at that. All of us that's members in this Moorish Science Temple of America and that's a follower of the Holy Prophet know what you are leader. The reason why I said that is because so many brothers in my travels, everybody want to talk about nationality. And nationality is the order of the day. So we all must proclaim their nationality, but to get back with your Father God Allah, you have to start studying your divine creed. And when you talk about creed, we on high now. See, because you say man have two selves. He said he have a high self and he have a lower self. He said the high self is the mother of virtues and the harmonies of life that breeds justice, mercy, love, and right. So now we got to look at those attributes. We got to study attributes. We got to look at Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, beast, hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft. We got to look up all these attributes and apply them to ourselves. This is why the book says, know thyself. The book don't tell you to know Joe Splitter. The book don't tell you to know Joe Blow. Or the dude don't tell you to study yourself, because those who brought you in or told you something about Noble Jew Ali, you taking his word anyway. Through scientific study and investigation, man be what he know, and that's what he told. So we all got to get back to our Father, God Allah. Let me explain. The book say, many ages man would tarry until all his lessons are learned. So we got to go through all the ways of life. Now, when we leave this physical plane, we still going to have to go to the plane of soul and then to the spirit, because we got to go through all ways of life. And when we was in Egypt, now we don't have Egypt no more. When you begin to look at your lessons in the book, I seen a commercial the other day, and they had a lot of Christians on there, but they had gobs on their head, and they said that they was an Egyptian. And everybody know good and well, if you look at somebody and they look like a European, you know they can't be Egyptian, because they took that land from you and me. So we have to begin to look at ourselves now. let's go back to this. I got friends of mine, especially a lot of my family members. They're in the church. But one thing that we know, the foundation of Christianity began in Rome. And it was the Roman nation that founded the first church, of whom crucified Jesus of Nazareth for seeking to redeem his people from under the Roman yoke and law. So we're talking about the Roman yoke and law. We're talking about Christianity, and we don't have nothing bad to say about Christianity because all of our people was taught under that banner. Everybody, you, me, your father, my father, we was taught under that banner. But the foundation of Christianity began in Rome, and the concepts and the ideologies that we are talking about was given to us. You got to understand that when you begin to talk about Christianity, when you begin to talk about Hebrew, when you begin to talk about Islam, all of this came through Africa. Africa is the cradle of civilization. Why do I say that? I say that is because when the slave trade came, the slave trade didn't come until our day was there, because we went into Spain. Before we went into Spain, there was a different concept. There was a different ether. There was things that were said. There was things that wasn't said. And let's go back to our president right now of the United States. I don't have nothing bad to say about him, because right now we have our own issues. We as Moorish American Muslims have our own issues. And know what you Ali say, there's but one supreme issue that we must use to redeem that which was lost. So we have our own history that we have to deal with. But what I'm talking about is, let's go back to our president, Joe Biden. And he's given all this support to all those people that's over there calling themselves Jew. And you call yourself Jew. But we all know that you are German. You from Germany. We know you from Germany. Just let's look at Isabella. Where's Isabella from, and all her children, her grandchildren, where are they from? Because they got everything. They went in Morocco and took all the gold, the land, and everything, and that is my homeland. That is a part of Africa. Now we have parts of Africa that somebody else controls. We don't control nothing. We don't even know who we are. We have brothers and sisters. What you need to understand is we have a supreme issue that we must use to deal with that which was lost. I'm going to tell you something. I first got here to Portland. And when I first got here to Portland, it was the best experience that I have ever had in my life. And the reason why that was because when I got here, you had most of the brothers and sisters that was here in Portland had already went down to the courthouse and got their reparation. They already did their paperwork. So when they got here, they don't need nothing else, but they fly one flag. They don't fly two flags, because the flag that they fly, one of them look like something else. But we have two flags, both national, international, conjoined, making ourselves Moorish American. And why are we Moorish American? Because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America. And who are these Moroccans? They are descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Now, who are these Moabites? They are the biblical sons and daughters of Ham, one of the three sons of Noah, according to the biblical scriptures. And this is why we are Hamitic by decent nature, by the way of Lot. Now, we're always taught in our Sunday schools about Lot. And it says Lot is the son of Haran. Haran, Ner, and Abel is the son of Terah. Terah is the son of Reu. Reu is the son of Pelah. Pelah is the son of Eber. Eber is the son of Salah. Salah is the son of Arphaxad, and Arphaxad is the son of Shem. And Noah had three sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. But when I go in my travels, and when I go sit in synagogues and churches, even today, when we begin to talk about some genealogy, they always say, hey man, it's Shem, it's Ham, and then it's Japheth. And I said, well, you got bumped on your head or something, because Ham is dealing with the spirit. Shem is dealing with the soul, and Japheth is dealing with the European nations. So these are things that you learned years ago in the Moorish Science Temple of America. But what we're talking about now, we're talking about overcoming. See, we're Moorish American Muslims. We study the Prophet. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because we have a Grand Sheik. I don't know a lot of these Grand Sheiks. I don't know a lot of them, and really I don't know too many of them. But I do know that when you begin to find brothers and sisters that's been in the Moorish Science Temple of America 50 years or better, they went through trials and tribulations. They done went through this and they done went through that. But when you see one that begin to teach this everlasting gospel, because the book say the gospel of the resurrection of the dead is not confined to the Jew or the Greek. It is the heritage of every man of every time and clime. So now, when I was in Washington, D.C., before I came here to Portland, you know, because in Washington, D.C., they got temples there. And they have Grand Sheiks there. And some Grand Sheiks know a whole lot. And some Grand Sheiks don't know nothing but what they're told to quote. But when you begin to want to take your family to the temple to be able to learn the teachings of Noble Jew Ali, because it ain't no difference. We talked earlier, especially in this show last week, we was talking about Jesus. And we have to talk about Jesus. We can't get away from Jesus. Even those that call themselves Christian, they know about Jesus. Because Jesus is the only Savior of the world. See? And Jesus was sent just like Jew Ali. When you look at his genealogy, you look at Jew Ali, this is why Jew Ali is here. If we wouldn't have lost our nationality, because we don't have one, all of us who's calling ourselves black according to science means death. All of us who's calling ourselves black, because I went to school with a lot. I have 2 sisters. I have friends. And both of them is older than me physically. 2 years older, matter of fact, it's my 2 first friends. And one thing they do, they call themselves black now, and they call themselves Negro, and they call themselves cousin. I remember Cousin Ruth before she just passed. And they had a guy by the name of Cecil Page. And she said Hank Aaron was over there with Cecil Page too. But Cecil Page is a brother that was a part of the Negro League. And you know what? When they had the Negro Baseball League, we wasn't even calling ourselves black yet. We were still calling ourselves Negro. Because Negro is a name given to a river in West Africa by Moors because it contained black water. So when Cecil Page was up, and she was laughing because she remembered. You know, said she wanted her father to take her to see the baseball game. But you have to understand, I remember when we wouldn't even call ourselves black. And if you call yourself black, that means that you're crazy, you're unintelligent, and you done took on something that don't even belong to you. Black means something dead. See? So we are not black. The only black flag that we know is the one that kills roaches. And if you call yourself black, you're part of the roach family. So Noble Jew Ali came with the methodology that was conducive to our growth and development. He told us to rise above hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harm. We went into Spain. We shouldn't even did that. We went into Spain and said that we're going into Spain and we're going to give Europe civilization. But what happened a lot before we fell, because look at us, we failed. You mean we failed? Moors ain't never failed in no land. But because we start serving carnal customs and the mere ideas of man, things that have never done us any good, but has always harmed us. That's why when you look at us now, look at the men. We do everything we don't even want a sister no more. We don't want, you know, they had a song, say, I want a girl. The Mad Lads, that's who sung. The Mad Lads sung a song. Say, I want a girl just like the one that married my dad. But don't nobody want a woman like that today. You don't want a woman like that. The woman you want is the one that you can do everything and get you to do this. And the brothers, we done lost our head, man. We done everything that's under the sun. Certain things we just don't do as Muslims. I hear brothers and sisters now, I'm getting ready to stop smoking. I'm getting ready to stop drinking. I thought you did that 10 years ago. I thought you was getting ready to get on the avenue and byways and teach the everlasting gospel. Because the everlasting gospel is not confined to the Jew or the Greek. It is the heritage of every man. You know, my mother, she taught me a lesson one time. This sister was a piece of work. And she made me learn the Bible. And one of the things that she made me learn in the Bible was the 14th chapter of St. John. I mean, I know a lot of them she made me learn. And it said that 14th, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God? Believe also in me. For in my Father's house are many mansions. And if it was not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you, etc. So now we're talking about the 14th chapter of St. John. But in my Father's house are many mansions. So really, I don't really care what you call him. But we call him Allah. And this is his proper name. So all of us, brothers and sisters, I don't care who you worship, but if we see each other in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. See, we have 5 principles that Judah gave us. And he said we greet each other in these principles. And he said we need to go to the library and look up these attributes. Is love our brothers and sisters. Tell them the truth, that they live in peace, have freedom, and justice will come to us all. So we're dealing with the tools of the workshop of the mind. We're dealing with the Last Supper. We're dealing with 2 selves, the higher self and the lower self. Now, we have to crush one under our feet. If there's 2 selves, if there's a higher self, and if there's a lower self. And the reason why it's so beautiful that I'm talking this way, because the Grand Sheik in Washington, D.C., that he was incarcerated one time. And he'd been in the street 50 years. And he'd been teaching the gospel 50 years. He'd been born again. And being born again, it don't mean going back through your mother's womb. You say he must be born. Being born again means that which is of the flesh is of the flesh. And that which is of the spirit is of the spirit. So I don't care who you are. If you're trying to live a moral and clean life, then I'm going to honor you. But you have a lot of brothers. If I tell you that I'm a Muslim and he say he a Christian, then he ain't going to honor me. If he said that he this and he said that he that, he ain't going to honor him. But when you begin to talk about religion, when the Moors was in Spain in 711, what was our religion? What was our religion then? And the same brothers and sisters out here now that's in these different organizations, African descent, and who they say they are Hebrew. Some say they're Hebrew Israelite. And you know what? The Moors in Spain was Hebrew and Hebrew Israelite. And you can't be nothing but that, because man today is what his forefathers were yesterday. And you have to understand there was no religion. When you took mine from me and calculated certain things and made it to fit your ether, then this is when you start talking about that there's a God. But that came in the foundation of Christianity, because this is when you took Jesus. And our brothers and sisters supposed to be sharp, got college degree. You hadn't even looked at it. They took Jesus, buried him in Vatican Square, and took on the name. You know that happened due to the advent of slavery, but you just locked up. You were locked up in your own thinking. You were locked up in your own mind. You trying to serve 2 masters at the same time, and you can't do it. You want to be all right with the one that you work for and give you a job, and then you want to say, man, he did this. But you only do that when you get mad. See, I know a brother was studying about the Moorish Americans and the Moorish Science Temple of America. And he was talking about reparation. And I heard him for about 6 months, 3 months. And he was talking about reparation. But then he just do that to get some, I don't know what, but he don't do that no more. He done moved on to do greater things. But truth don't change. Who you were yesterday, you are that today. The changes and the trials and tribulations, that's why we got billionaires. They know what they doing. They done took us, man, and done flipped us and flipped the script and everything. And all our sisters are gone. And man, We was at the meeting yesterday. There was some sisters there, and I didn't even recognize them, but I knew them. I didn't recognize them because they got them eye things on their eyes, and and they got that other stuff on them and that kind of. I ain't recognize them. But sister, you got to understand that all that stuff that Rome is bringing out here for us to become a part of, to help us be less in control of our own dignity, you got to get away from that because you're the first teacher. The sister is the first teacher. You have to understand that when a child is born, when she first go to school, when she first taught anything, the sister would do it. And right now, I know some brothers, there's a few sisters that he know. He said, man, I like blow, blow, blow. And I like her. He said, I can't do it because 5, 6, 7 people they know in the neighborhood and went to school, they done had her and they done so many things with her and they done ran and told their friends, man, this girl is like this and this girl is like that. I said, man, you shouldn't be saying that because you talking about all them dudes' sisters and you got sisters too. You don't think your sisters did that too? And this is what we have to do. We got to give all that stuff back. It said, give back to Caesar what belonged to Caesar. And we talking about a thought pattern. See? We talking about a thought pattern that we got to give back. Give that back. Give back. He said, give back the European nation that belonged to the European nation. We talking about Asiatic. We're talking about, and the world is so beautiful because the closer we get to them, the further we get apart from Jesus. Because Jesus is the son of Mary. And Mary's mother was Anna. And the reason why I keep talking about that is because it reminds me of my grandmother and it reminds me of them old sisters who taught us. Certain things they taught us to do, certain things they taught us not to do. And those elders, those ancient sisters who are the first teachers, because that's who teach. And they the one that taught the brother, the little baby brother. They taught him. And we have to learn that. And in these last few days that we have on earth, we need to give our life a will and sacrifice. Brother told me, say, hey man, I ain't coming back to the temple no more. He said, and I'm not even going to the Mars no more. He said, because I just did that when I was in the joint. He said, when I was in the joint, I did all those things. But man, I'm in the street now and I got to get some money. I got to do this and I got to do that. I'm not with Drew Ali no more. It was all right when I was in. And we needed each other. But now, we're in the street. I ain't got to study. The only thing that you study is yourself. And I said, Drew Ali said, we have two selves. The higher self and the lower self. The higher self is human spirit. We talking about the human spirit now. Because this human spirit is clothed with soul made in the form of a law. The lower self is the carnal self. Is the body of desires. Is a reflection of your higher self that's started by the murky ethers of the flesh. So the higher self is justice, mercy, love, and right. So I'm looking up justice. And when you talking about justice, you talking about dealing upright. We talking about the upright character. We talking about the fearless character. We were talking about the independence character. We were talking about walking like our forefathers. Because they done took your forefathers. They done took your foremothers. And they done made us out of something that we're not. That's why when you look at all our brothers and sisters that's here in America, they're Christians. But really they're Muslim. They know they're not Christians. And once they begin to exercise their own 5 senses, they'll see that the foundation of Christianity beginning around. I don't have nothing bad to say about the Christians. I'm just saying that I was in the church. My mother had me in the church all my life. I was a little baby and everything. She had me out there. But something inside me that didn't tickle right because I couldn't think for myself. You know what you always say, if I can get you to think, you'll save yourself. And that's what's going on right now. A lot of us can't even think. You know why? Because we are blind. And blind cannot see the light. The same as the Islamic creed brought to the Asiatics of North America by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who offered to those who were sick at heart, tried for many years, yet they are blind and cannot see the light, nor the prophet trying to put new wine in old skins, for he knows that it will burst them. Yet he has the remedies for the nations. The same remedy brought by Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius, which remedy is the truth. The nations do not want the truth. It is too stern. But until they accept it and find out where it truly is, they'll continue to be that religious controversy. You know, I was yesterday I got a phone call from a brother named Porter Eel. Matter of fact, I put a Holy Day thing up. I put his picture up there with another brother, Coleman Bay. I put it up there the other day. And I was talking to him. I was talking to him about the teachings of the prophet Noble Geology, because he was born in the Moorish Temple of America. And his father done a good work. Went all the way across the country and did a lot of things, especially up in Chicago with Sister Christina Price Bay. And the brother was telling me on the phone in a conversation that some brothers that went by a brother's house and said, Mo, you can't talk about the prophet like that. And he told it to him like that because he loved him. And we all love him. But I remember back in the 70s, man, they had to go up there, man, they was just taking over this and taking over there. And the sister had to call brothers from here and there. But the only way that we're going to get this movement back under one head like the prophet left, not us sitting down. You just been in the street 5 years. How you going to come and sitting down? Them brothers been in the street 40 years. Some of them been in the street 50 years, and because you come home and you by yourself, you want to be in chapel. No, don't go like that. Do this. Get you every subordinate temple, conform their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the prophet. Once you get a charter and you start getting your membership and teach them the teachings of the prophet, then that's what's going to bring us together, because Drew Ali told us that. Drew Ali is working this. None of us is working this. We think that we are in control of something. We're not in control of nothing. Just like those in the church, you're not in control of nothing. Everybody want to take your concept, put it in, and give it to the world. Take the prophet's teachings. Try to get some understanding. Go to your Quranic class and try to get some understanding and build your character up. That's what it's about, the character. All of us. I said earlier, says I'm tired of drinking, and I'm tired of fornicating, and I'm tired of smoke. I thought you'd been stopped that. We all got to stop that. We're going to have to give our life a will and sacrifice. See? We all going to have to give our life a will and sacrifice, because we're looking to be somebody else. Be who your forefathers were. Study Jesus. Study Jesus' father. Study Joseph. Study Zechariah. Study all the ancient brothers and sisters, because that's who's in the book. Let me tell you something. When we was put in slavery, all of our literature, all of our everything was taken away. Just like I've said earlier, that when you begin to look at the Egyptian was dark as me. Every Egyptian that you see now is light-skinned, because the Europeans done took that land. They done took over. They call themselves Egyptian, when really they're from a European country. All Europeans are from a European country. Where you from? My last name is Lynch, right? My last name is Lynch. Everybody here has a last name with a European attribute, and that came through the slave trade. And if you look and see what nation put your family in the slave trade, because they done took us, move 1 million of us over here, one over there, because you know you had brothers and you had sisters that was a part of the Egyptian Adat. That meant that there was brothers and sisters that had certain, I can't get it, had certain things that was granted to them over the years through the ancestors, through the soldier ancients. But what they did, when the slave trade came, they took brothers and sisters like that and moved you way over there. And they put me over there because I'm just a regular old dude. I ain't got nothing. But a lot of times, the ministers, they move you somewhere else. Everybody was taken from one place to another. And a lot of times, a lot of us was kept. And we was kept so we could teach this gospel. That's why the prophet said the resurrection of the dead is not confined to the Jew or the Greek. He says the heritage of every man of every time and clime, and he a demonstrator of the power of man. So when you begin to talk about the literature, when you begin to talk about any kind of literature, you have to look at yourself. Because this came from your forefathers and your foremothers. We are the torch bearers of civilization. We gave the world civilization. We gave them love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. See, if the whole world was called Asia at one time, and now there's a separation, there's an Asiatic and there's a European. Why? Because one want to worship under their own vine and fig tree, and one want to deal with hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything and harm. Because like I said, there was a time when all of those that's European, there was a time when they wasn't European. There was a time when there was Asiatic. There was a time when the whole world was called Asia. I told you that I was in a conversation right here in Portland, Oregon, with a lot of Chinese. And they was going through a little change because they were thinking about who they're going to vote for and a lot of other things. But they said, man, we know that y'all are the ones who we come from. And the Chinese, I got the records. It's on tape. I put it out. And they said that we come from them. So if they know that, then they also know that during the advent of slavery, that you put the Moors in slavery. Because you don't think they were asleep. They were living then. They know these things. They already know that. They know the history. They know that you're not Negro, colored, and black. You don't think the European, they laughing at us. Because we crazy. And they said they want to take over this. And yeah, we did that. We're the reason for that. Now, there's a guy named Putin. And Putin is the president from over there in Russia or somewhere. And just the other day, brother sent it to me. I got it though, I had it. And he was talking about, he remember that all these paintings and things they put out when the real Jesus and the real Mary and the real this. And he said that the original one wasn't us, it was y'all. But I got family, I got friends now. They're cold chimps too. Because you know better. You could think, and you can let these people get you to thinking that the foundation of Christianity was you and me. No. Foundation of Christianity beginning wrong. Not just here, all over the world. And Putin showing them pictures. I got a brother sent them to me yesterday, but I had already had them. So the whole world is talking about this, and we are still calling ourselves what we are not. Because man today is what his forefathers were yesterday. And there's no one who is able to change man from the decent nature of his mother and father, unless his power extend beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. Man, they took everything. You took my forefathers. You took my foremothers. You got me living according to some things that we didn't do. See, in Africa, there were certain things that we just didn't do. Just like we was talking about brothers inside these different centers. Man, I know some brothers, their whole time, that's the last thing that they would do, mess with another man. Because when you do that, you outside of who you supposed to be. Because you got to be who your forefathers were. And why are we Moorish America? Because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America. And who are these Moroccans? They are descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. And who are these Moabites? They are the biblical sons and daughters of Ham, one of the three sons of Noah, according to the biblical scriptures. And this is why we're Hamitic, by decent nature, by the way of life. So we're talking about decent nature. We're talking about human nature. We're talking about signs and symbols. We're talking about signs and symbols being for the conscious mind. And the gifts of the understanding are the treasures of Allah. So you know what? I can't be all right with you, and you can't be all right with me. Because if you're doing things that diametrically opposed to what God say, and I'm doing things that's diametrically opposed to what God said, then we all right. we could be together. But if I begin to start talking about love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and if I keep talking about love my brothers and sisters and they might know this, then what I'm doing, I'm separating myself from God. I'm no longer with God because there's two. You can't be both of them. You got to crush one under your feet and tame the other to your purpose. So if you got two of them and you got to crush one under your feet, what is the one that you're trying to tame to your purpose? The only one I know to try to claim, because Drew Ali came. And when Drew Ali came, he came to bring us nationality and divine creed. That's two of them. Everybody flies two flags. This is why brothers get mad. Man, there's no fly this flag like everybody else do. Nah. Drew Ali want us to set up just like this government here has set up. Just do ours and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Because if we do it that way, then they know. I remember a couple of brothers that was on a security force with me, and we was in the military, in the Marines and in the Army. And one thing that they taught them, there's no flag right of the American flag. And Drew Ali was forced to make changes. Somebody else was forced to make changes. But the reason why you do that, but we want to keep them in line with all necessities. See, Drew Ali says, stay in line with all necessities of the Moorish Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. So we're going to have to stay in line with what the prophet said. And in order for us to come back under one head to deal with these issues, first thing we got to get rid of, too, is some things that the prophet told us. He said, I brought you everything that it takes to save a nation. This is what the prophet said. He said, now take it and save yourself. And the reason why I keep on saying this is because my instructor, he was right there with that brother. This sister too, she was right there with that brother. And with certain things that the prophet told them, certain things that the prophet had to redo, certain things that the prophet told her, because in this earth, they've been trying to get that brother from day one. They were trying to get the prophet. They had brothers that left the Moorish Temple and took money to cross the prophet. This thing is serious that we are talking about. And you got to understand that it's coming to a head now. Because you hear, when you begin to hear brothers talking about Germany, when you hear brothers talking about certain European nations, or you hear brothers talking, just like the President of the United States. He's a German. But he want to take my birthright. You want to bury my forefathers in Vatican Square. Because that's, see, Jesus came late on anyway. See, before Jesus, we had Abraham, we had Boaz by Ruth, we had Jesse, we had King David, we had Solomon, we had Hezekiah, and then we come with Joseph by Mary now. See, Joseph by Mary, that's a genealogy. All of this is our genealogy. It said, well, you give in brief the line genealogy through which Jesus came. So we have a history that Noble Drew Ali brought us that came from the great God Allah. And he did that to redeem us from our sinful ways and to warn us of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. Because it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the name and principles that delude to slavery. So like I said earlier, when we went to school, all of my classmates, my two first friends, Sammy and Bernard, both of them older than me, 2 years older. We was at the junior high school together. But they remember we was Negroes. And they remember color. I remember color too. I'll tell you about my cousin. She talking about Cecil Page. And Hank Aaron, she said, Hank Aaron was over there too. I said, I forgot about that. Yeah. And she just passed. She's 100. But she knew all these things. And she knew about the slave trade because she knew Daddy Gray. I knew him. I met him when I was a little boy. I knew him. But you know what? He knew Drew Ali too. See, so it ain't but one. We got all these different segments, but it ain't but one. And in order for us to come back under one head like the prophet left it, we're going to have to go under the grand body. Because just like the brother said, there was a grand body of C. Kirkland Bay. They, for 3 years, they gone. They wouldn't even come over there no more. Everybody went over there, all the elders. And we got some stuff. We got some bad brothers around. We got some brothers. I put a post up the other day. We got brotherhood of friends. This brother, this. We got so many different brothers, Bratton Bay. We got some bad brothers. But in order for us to be able to come back under one head like the prophet left it, what we have to do, we have to apply that lesson where it says every subordinate temple. And then when we come to the meeting, you bring your issues there. Because there ain't really but one supreme issue. Ain't but one. It says there's but one supreme issue that our people must use. And when we talk about one supreme issue, that's talking about why Noble Ali lost his phone. Noble Ali lost his phone because he was telling us about nationality and divine creed. They took all of that from us. They took our name, land, and principle. And they tried to mark that out, but Allah didn't let it happen. But ain't no happiness. There's no happiness. Law governs all events. Allah won't let that happen. So we're going to have to now redeem ourselves and go back to that state of mind of our forefathers, divine and national principle. Everybody got something to say, but I was over there too. My man was over there with him. He didn't just hear about the prophet. He was with the prophet. And for 10 straight years, we talked every day. Once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. We talk. Same thing about up in Chicago. We go up there. And one thing that I learned that I'll never forget, I met a lot of old timers now that they said they went over here to talk to this leader. They went over there to talk to that leader. They went over there to talk to that leader. One thing about me, when I joined the Moorish Voice, I ain't had to go nowhere. I ain't had to go over to no other body or none of that to see nobody to learn them, because all the people that was around me was the one that the prophet taught. And they told me the thing that he said. Some of them I had to exercise my 5 senses, and some of them I had to exercise my 7 senses. But the prophet Noble Ali came to redeem us from our sinful ways. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the name and principles that delude to slavery. Now, what are the principles that delude to slavery? Because our highest principles is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. But he's talking about some principles that delude to slavery. And it's a couple of them. It's hatred, slander, and losers, murder, theft, and everything in harm, and Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast. All of them are attributes. Those are attributes that we got to take into our chamber and work with. We got to look at it. Say, man, you doing this, you doing that, but you don't have the strength to overcome. That's why the book says, have I the strength to overcome and give my life a will and sacrifice for man? When I stand before the face of man and they demand the proof of my messiahship, what would I say? And then the tempter came and said, if you be the Son of Allah, command these stones to turn to bread. And Jesus said, who is it that the man to test? It is no sign that one is Son of Allah because he does a miracle. The devil can do mighty things. Did not the Gentile magicians do great things before the Pharaoh? My words and deeds in all the walks of life shall be the proof of my messiahship. Now I'm looking at that. I'm looking at all the trials and tribulation that I'm going through. But I got a blessing. I got 2 brand new grandbabies. So if I got 2 brand new grandbabies and 2 daughters, man, what I got to do, I got to live for them. Anything that's out there and outside of what the prophets say, this is not what you want to be a part of, because they are the ones that's going to have to carry the movement on tomorrow. And right now, the key now is the sisters. And sisters, you got to raise up, because you got the brother licking and sucking and doing all this stuff. You got them doing everything. That's what we went in Spain for, to bring you about the dark age. We're doing all that stuff, but because of your nature, that human nature that we have in us that we got to get rid of in order for you to teach the babies. You got to get rid of that human nature. See, I know about it because when I was growing up, certain things we didn't do. Certain things that the brothers didn't do, licking and sucking. That was before I came later on. See, because every 10 years, they bring something in the door. Look what they just bringing in there. The makeup, an eyelash, they bringing all that in. They working their show. They working their show and it's fitting in because they got all of the Europeans doing it, and all the Europeans is married to brothers. And all the brothers that's married to the European, one thing that I like about them, they not eating and licking. They going to church and they being good and they living according to the law. But we have to understand that. A mighty work is theirs. For carnal men want not the light. They love the dark. And when the light shines in the dark, they comprehend it not. So we're reading about the tools of the workshop of the mind. And see, each one of these tools represents something. And if you have to look up what do it say about the square? It said the square, it said, these tools remind me of the ones we handle in the workshop of the mind where things are made of thought and where we build up character. So this is what I'm trying to do now. That's why I'm so happy I got here in Port Louis. I'm trying to build my character up. See, Allah kept me around. I'm trying to build my character because I can't teach. I can't do nothing if I'm not living according to the laws of the prophet. I want to be a babe. Then certain attributes go along with that. And one of them go along with it is the highest principles known to man, which is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So I'm looking at this. I'm looking at Lucifer. Look up the word Lucifer. Look up the attribute of Satan. Look up the attribute of devil, dragon, and beast. Look up those attributes and see how do it apply to you. Look up Lucifer say, but look up hatred. Look up the definition for hatred and slander. Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, beast, hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harm. A lot of that apply to me. I got all them attributes that lived inside me. I lived and did everything contrary to what I was taught as a child. Why? Because I'm trying to serve two masters at the same time. I want to be over here and I want to be over here also. But you can't do both of them. Be real. You want to be with the prophet, then be with the prophet. If you want to be with Joe Spivengate, then be with Joe Spivengate. You all right, though. You're going to be all right, but our missions is just different. And these are some of the things that I'm learning. And these are some of the things that we're teaching. These are things that we're teaching these youth. Because that's what we live now. It ain't about us. Drew Ali said he come for the young and yet born. He said, but the old could follow if they want. He didn't even come for me. I'm over 70, way up there. He didn't come for me. He come for the young and he come for the yet born because we have work to do. But his job was beautiful because all of the brothers that I knew that was older, and then all them brothers are gone now. But they did their job. They kept the doors open. They tried to close these doors for many years, but the Moorish Science Temple of Mark is still here. We are still here, and we are still teaching nationality and divine creed. And these are the principles that Drew Ali brought us to teach. There's a lot of things that Drew Ali didn't complete. And they would have him ripping and running. I told you before that you had him sit right in the temple with him, telling them, don't go this way, prophet. It should go this way. But the brothers and sisters that we have now, they are deserving of a lot of honor. Because like brothers just joined the temple in the last 5 or 6 years, they don't realize that them brothers been out there 40, 50 years. They done gave their life a willing sacrifice. They have their families in the temple. They done gave up the world. And they live in there to do the teachings of the prophet. And that's what we got to do. Because Drew Ali said he can make the European enforce his law. We don't know what he mean by that, but he said the European going to enforce his law. And we know it is because in all the world there were two things. One is truth, the other is falsehood. And one thing is what seemed to be. See, one is what is and what seemed to be. It said that truth is all, it had no cause, and yet it is the cause of everything. Falsehood is naught, and yet it is the manifest of right. That which have been made will be unmade, that which have a beginning will have an end. So I'm happy. I'm happy and I'm honored that I'm still here on earth, because I thought I'd be gone by now. It wouldn't make a difference, because I know that I'm working on myself. I'm working on my higher self, and I'm working on my better self. Because if I can overcome some of these foes on this plane of things made manifest, when I leave here and go to the plane of soul, I might be doing so good, I might just go right to the spirit. Man, go right to the spirit, because you're gonna have to go through all the ways of life. We all are. This is what they taught us in Egypt. Man, I just told you that the Europeans call themselves Egyptians now. We learned all this in Egypt. The Egyptian adapt. We learned all this there about the higher self and the lower self. The man is not the body nor the soul. He is a spirit and a part of Allah. It says, so stop seeking for heaven in the sky. Just open up the windows of your heart, and like a flood of light, it will come through. It will bring you a boundless joy. And these are the things that we are taught. But you know what? I'm telling you something. If I overcome foes in my life, and you overcome foes in your life, then that's going to get us closer to the great God Allah. Because in order for us to get close to the great God Allah, certain things we got to let go anyway. A lot of those carnal things that we have, and them desires that we have in our life, our purpose is to let these things go so we could get closer to the great God Allah. Because this is Allah alone that's guiding the destiny of this divine and national movement. I told you when we talking about Ruth the Moabite, and we talking about Solomon, we talking about Jesse, we talking about King David. These are the brothers and sisters who were teaching this gospel, getting ready for Jesus. They was before Jesus, but they are part of our genealogy. Some of the great follow through which Jesus came. Listen, some of the great follow through which Jesus came are Abraham, see? Boaz by Ruth, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, and Joseph by Mary. See? And see, that's when Allah sent Jesus. Why did Allah send Jesus to this earth? To save the Israelites from the iron hand oppression of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, who was governing a portion of Palestine at that time. So we're looking at our forefathers. We're looking at our forefathers. They just, okay, I'll complete my lesson next time. Praise Allah and honor the Prophet. The Moorish prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Jew Ali. Amen. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine.